This week, Chris Goffey at the big industry day where journalists can drive anything they want. Mike Rutherford takes on taxis, and we look forward to Land Rover's 50th anniversary. But first, Richard Hammond investigates the new Renault Clio.
We are talking about a very, very competitive end of the market here. The small car is very much hot property at the moment. And let's face it, when you look around, there's really not very much wrong with any of them. The manufacturers have pretty much got it sussed as far as the small car buyer is concerned. They've all got light, airy cabins. They've all got enough room in the boot for the shopping and enough room in the back to wedge in the kids or a couple of mates. Small, economical engines all round. But you've got to choose according to something. Well, let's face it. No matter how hard-hearted, how ruthlessly efficient and logical we might claim to be when we're sat in the pub, at the end of the day, none of us wants to look a pillock. And when you're buying one of these small cars, the only thing you can choose by is how it looks. So how to choose? Well, for me, it comes down to the following. At one end, there's Fiat's diminutive Cinquecento, but Lycra's never really been me. There's Nissan's Micra, but then on the outside it might look all new, but underneath there's no hiding it. We know it's still very much a case of tweed shirt, cloth cap and driving gloves. Ford's Fiesta, very popular indeed. Quite well made, very, very practical, nice big pockets, waterproof even. But I don't want to be seen in that. Also from Ford is the Car. And then there's Volkswagen's Polo. Very smart, very practical, very well made, but somehow certainly not me. There's Rover's 100, which, yeah. Renault Clio. This is probably Nicole's own. Definitely not me. Definitely not a chap's car, is it? Or is it? Because the new Clio, we're told, has been made very much more masculine. And if you ask me, I think they're right. This is Milton Keynes, and it is not the style capital of Europe. But that's precisely why we're here today. Because it's not the opinions of the boffins and the designers and the experts that we're interested in. Their opinion stops mattering the moment they sign the design off. And face it, not all of us spend much of our time swanning around Mayfair or the south of France. No, it's the people of Milton Keynes. It's their opinion that matters. It's the people of Milton Keynes who decide what's stylish and what's not stylish when they buy their cars. And that is why we have brought this, the new Clio, here today.
Good shape too, but suspect the way it dips down at the back.
Yeah, it definitely does come down, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does come down off the roof, but yeah, aerodynamically it looks good.
How much? If I could afford it, I'd have it.
It just looks good, it looks different, and the colour's really nice as well. It's an original colour.
It looks slightly long on the wheelbase and it's got a very nice bum.
Well, no, some people have said it's got a big bum, but if you like big bums, that's, you know.
Well, I like it because it's going to have a lot of room, easy to actually get stuff in.
Chic.
Chic.
Has it got any Frenchness to it, do you think?
Well, I don't know. It probably does look a bit continental, doesn't it?
Is that a good thing?
Well, I should think so, yes.
The way the top dips down a bit, it is nice.
It sticks out a bit. Do you like that? It's sort of double bump, they've called it. It's got a big bump.
Well, that'll suit me, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have it. It's not too bad. I think eventually all cars are going to look like that.
But all the new cars these days seem to look very similar, don't
like
they?
buggy type
and I
things.
don't really like the idea that it's geared specifically for women. You know.
Well, Renault are actually saying this is a more masculine version of the previous Clio.
And
do you think
what makes them think that it's more masculine then, do you know?
Don't look at me, I don't know.
So I don't like this. No, we don't like this idea that it's for men and it's for women. The car's got to be practical for what you use it for, regardless of what you are.
And
if you're a man who takes the kids to school and a smaller car is easier to get around town, fine.
Looks like there's more boot space.
There is. Do you want to have a quick look?
Go on then.
Are you the kind of person that cares about that, or do you like it to look good? Is that what matters? No? See, big boots? Yep.
No, I was looking to see if it's got a height adjustable.
Oh, it has. Why is that important for you?
I'm not going to
I don't. You see, it's not
slight,
really an issue for me. It must be said. It's a very modern colour. It's the colour of the season, you know.
Is it?
Oh, you'll be wearing it. Believe me, you are. Look.
I can't.
That's it. He's wearing it, definitely.
I've had it about 10 years.
See, you're ahead of your time. There you go. That's where you'd be sat if you were chauffeuring with this one. What do you think?
Now this for me is straight away without adjusting anything. This is quite a nice driving position. I don't know if the steering wheel's adjustable, but driving position is great, but I can't see all the columns. I mean, if we'd locked it up like that, the way the steering wheel should be, I can see clearly now.
What about headroom and stuff? Because you're quite tall, aren't you? You're not short.
I am indeed. That's one of my things with the car, was headroom, because not so long ago we all used to have to wear hats and in our job. But this, I mean, even not wearing a hat, this has got enough headroom for me.
Well, you've got your hair sticking up there anyway. So
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, there's plenty of room in there for me.
I mean, in this thing now, isn't it, that we should all really be driving smaller cars with smaller engines. Really, they shouldn't sort of bracket it, should they, as a woman's car?
So what do you want from a car?
I want it to do a lot of miles.
Cheap, yeah,
for the petrol.
You don't want to look daft, do you? And do you think you're going to look daft in here?
No, it's very nice.
No,
but as I
okay,
say, it's not dissimilar from every other smaller car that's being introduced.
Do you want to have a quick look at the back end of this? Could you just take 2 seconds? Just honestly, because it's quite distinctive. It's very different. It's not like see, look, it sticks out a bit there. Do you like?
Me a bit of the Mini.
Sporty. Looks quite sporty.
Yeah, a lot better, definitely.
Yep, he's going to start it and drive off in it. No,
Nice, isn't it?
You've got the wrong idea.
If you weren't here, I'd be away.
That's what you do with your retirement, is it? So we found out some of what the word on the street is about the design of the new Renault Clio. But to take the clothing analogy just a little further, we've come here to Nero's, a designer clothes shop, here in central Milton Keynes shopping centre. We're going to find out what an expert here thinks. When the clothes designing industry set out to design an item of clothing, it's got to fulfil a function, it's got a purpose, it has to do something, and it has to do that in a way that appeals to people's taste. So let's find out what a real expert in what people buy in terms of clothes fashion thinks about car fashion.
I think it's quite a nice, small, nicely shaped car. It's more, I would say, more for a young person, or just like someone who's, you know, it reminds me of a loafer.
I was going to ask you what item of clothing it was. Why a loafer?
To be honest.
It's got tassels on the front, haven't they?
Not a tassel, but just nice, slick, nice plain front.
What have you got on there?
I've got a pair of loafers on.
It's got a loafer on.
Yeah.
It's like this.
A bit like a loafer.
Like there. Like that. Why?
I don't know. I see it's just a pair like nice and slick and smooth, and just sits nicely. I like the way it just sits on the road.
When you're selling clothes to people, obviously, do people really have their own idea about their own style, or do we just follow fashion? Because that does bleed through into the motor industry as well, doesn't it? It's all to do with image and fashion.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, I suppose so, it does, because the type of person I see who'd be driving this car be either young or a married couple or something quite similar. And they come in, they like go in, and they want to look the business. The car's looking the business, so they want to look the business.
Well, we're pretty conservative in this country, aren't we? I mean, in the UK, we're not renowned for being flamboyant and prepared to have a go and look good. Do you really find that we actually make that much of an effort, or we're just shabby creatures like me?
No, we do, because I'm serving all kinds of people, and even from like a builder to a executive, he wants to look good, go out, look good. He's got an image to uphold, and he's gonna push that boat out that little bit extra.
So, we've spoken to some of the people who matter when a new car comes onto the market. Some of the people who might be buying a car like the new Clio. The people in Milton Keynes, to find out their impressions of the design, the style and the look of the car. There is another group of people who are very important in this equation, of course, and they're the people who are going to sell them. So we're going to move from Milton Keynes, which still isn't the style capital of Europe, and move over to Dunstable, which isn't either. But there is a Renault dealer there, and we're going to talk to him and find out what he thinks of the car. He's been selling Renault for years, so of course he's been selling the previous version of the Clio. So it's going to be very interesting to find out what he thinks of the new one, because we mustn't forget, you and I might buy a car, and it's a big decision. We might be buying something like this, £9,500, £10,000. It's an awful lot of money. But for this guy that we're going to talk to who's selling them, obviously he makes his living. So for him it's crucial. How good is the car? How a customer's going to receive it? But this is a chance while we're on the way, of course, to have a quick spin behind the wheel, to get an idea of what the car's about when you're actually driving it. And I must say that right from the start, it does feel like a much more solid proposition. Renault have said that they've built an entirely new car here from the wheels up. We're not talking about a bit of a facelift and a new set of light lenses front and back. We're talking about a totally new car, and it does feel it. It feels very solid on the road. Renault built the last Clio as the small car with large car refinement. And I suppose it was. For the first time you could get electric windows and air conditioning and the like on a small car. Well, I think they've taken it a step further with this, the new Clio, because as a driving experience, it really does feel pretty substantial. And a quick word too about safety. I know we've said that when you're buying a small car, yeah, the way it looks is important. None of us wants to drive around looking at Wally, but neither do we want to be injured if something goes horribly wrong. I don't want to get myself injured if I'm taking my friends in the back or family. Safety is increasingly important, and manufacturers will agree that Increasingly, they'll sell cars on the basis of safety features. Well, we've got a passenger airbag and a driver airbag in here, the RT 1.4 version. So this is Dunstable, this is Renault. We'll pull up and have a chat to the dealer, see what he thinks. It's actually quite odd to see the old Clio alongside the new. And it must be said, if you thought this was a bit close, just before we go in, look at this. If things do go a bit wrong for you in the supermarket crush, plastic. Very clever. Let's see what the dealer thinks.
I think the car is still very, very fresh, but still retains some of the impact of the previous Clio, i.e. when you look at it, it's instantly recognisable from the front as a Clio, even though it's changed. And I don't think it will have the adverse effect of some of the new models being brought out in the last few years by some manufacturers, where you have a like it or loathe it situation. When we first saw the car in the press, I have to say I was a little bit disappointed. Like some pictures don't show it up to its best, but when we went out to Paris to see the car in the flesh, it was a revelation. And the last time I can remember being that excited was, if I can mention it, when Nissan launched the new Micra. I don't think the character has changed. I think it does look more masculine from the front. I said it still looks Clio-esque, which is the French for looking like a Clio. It certainly feels as a bigger car does. It feels solid, it's more spacious. Build quality is certainly there. The old test of the clunk of the doors, that's always a good start. All the instrumentation, everything that we touch and feel inside feels solid, no flimsiness anywhere. And when you actually look down from the dealer point of view, then the shut lines, the actual body lines of the car, they all look to be of top quality.
So, the new Clio from Renault, a car that's matured and grown over the years. Just like Nicole, of course, the girl from the TV ads. I wonder what did happen to her. I suppose she's got to earn the money to pay for her Renault Clio somehow. But whoever would have thought it, here in Dunstable. Still, oh no, Nicole, I asked for mayonnaise with this.
This is a pet hate of mine in central London and other cities. Taxi drivers cannot drive in lane. They've got 2 lanes, but no, they have to straddle both lanes, like this guy here. And so for me to get up my lane, I've got to squeeze through like that. And all he's got to do is actually learn to steer. Very difficult, isn't it? Black cab driver, professional driver, cannot steer. Get it sorted.
After the break, Chris Goffey at the Society of Motor Manufacturer Traders Open Day on Motor Week.
There's currently over 25 million cars on Britain's roads, and every year the manufacturers sell over 2 million new cars. So it's obviously in their interests that motoring journalists devote as many column inches and as much television time as possible to their new products. Now, to follow that aim, the Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders holds a test day here at Millbrook every year. The object is that journalists jump in as many new cars as possible and find out what they're all about. So amongst the Exotica, what's claimed to be the cheapest car in Britain? Tim Slaughter, what is it?
This is a Perodo Nipper, which is made in Malaysia, has an 853 cylinder engine, 5 doors, and is an ideal city car, runabout, equally at home, you know, for runs on the open road as well.
And this tag of cheapest car, what are you actually selling this one for?
This is £4,999.
I mean, that does sound ridiculously cheap. I mean, what sort of what are you missing against you know, a car of twice the price?
Well, you're not really missing a great deal. I mean, the main advantage of this car is that it's built in Malaysia, and the exchange rate is excellent at the moment with Malaysia, and we're actually passing that on to the customer. So we're selling the car at a sensible price because of the exchange rate.
So from 850cc's and 3 cylinders and £5,000 to the other end of the spectrum, Nissan's Skyline GTR, £50,000, 280 brake horsepower, 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steer. They're only going to bring 100 of these supercars into the country this year, and to demonstrate it here at Millbrook, saloon car and sports car racer extraordinaire Chris Goodwin.
Right, off we go, 0 to 60 and oh look, we've done it. This is the Skyline GTR, so what you get for your money is quick motor, what they call an intelligent car, in that it sorts out a lot of your problems for you. Four-wheel drive, four-wheel steer, and a car that will bias the power front to rear as and when it sees fit, really. So we're going around the handling circuit here at Millbrook pretty quickly, but it's relatively easy. Get up to about 100 miles an hour going into this first corner. Obviously ABS brakes help as we're braking into here, but we're powering through that corner in second gear. Slight sideways movement there of the car, but again it corrects itself and we're fully on the throttle while it's doing that, so I can just concentrate on trying to make the thing go quickly.
Volkswagen announced the Mark IV version of the Golf late last year. This is the first time we've seen right-hand drive versions of the car, and they'll be launched on the UK market within the next month or so. The Volkswagen design philosophy has been very much evolution and not revolution, and the car is unmistakably a Golf. Follows very similar lines to the old model, although it is a brand new car from the wheels up. It's a bigger car than the old model. There's more elbow and shoulder room and more leg room in the back. But you can't help feeling a little disappointed that they weren't just a little bit more adventurous. Still has the same feel of solidity and build quality. Very, very safe, predictable handling, as you'd expect for a car that is #1 bestseller in Europe. Simon Small, you've been associated with the import of Japanese cars over the last 20 years? You've seen them come and go. Will these micro cars really catch on in Britain?
Well, whether we like it or not, we're all being encouraged to move towards smaller cars for environmental reasons, pollution reasons and so on. And I think gradually people are going to look more closely at using smaller cars because of the traffic situation that we now experience on our roads here, because of pollution, because of the cost of fuel and so on.
I mean, will they just be town cars, or will people actually use them, as everyday cars?
I think people will gradually use them as everyday cars. I mean, certainly if you live and work in central London, for example, a car like these Daihatsus makes sense.
Now, Mark Quinn, Managing Director of Kia, Korean company, and we appear to be sitting in a Lotus Elan.
Well, you may think we're sitting in a Lotus Elan, Chris, but in fact we're sitting in a Kia sports car. But you're quite right, it originally was produced by Lotus in the UK, and Kia subsequently bought the rights for Kia and now produce it as the Kia sports car, so we're pleased to have it in the UK.
Lotus always said they never made any money out of the Elan. Are you going to change all that?
I'm not sure whether I can comment on whether Lotus made money or not. I'm sure they did reasonably well out of it. But no, as far as we're concerned, it gave us an added bit of spice to the range. As you know, Kia, the name Kia in the UK is not that well known, and bringing this car back into the UK actually has helped us to raise the level of people's knowledge about Kia as a product.
Now, you can't get more up-to-date than this. This is the Bentley Arnage, introduced just 2 days ago at a special launch at Le Mans. It's the Bentley version of the new Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph. Now, I've never driven one of these, but my son has the advantage over me. The Group Supergrass were allowed to drive the new Rolls-Royce here at Millbrook quite a few weeks ago, and he couldn't resist phoning me up and going, nah, 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 nah. So now it's my turn. Like the Rolls-Royce, the new Bentley is powered by a 4.4-litre V8 engine, twin turbocharged, 350 brake horsepower. It's actually a BMW engine, but it's been developed specially for the car with the help of both Rolls-Royce engineers and Cosworth. The result is something that's got spectacular power but still retains the silence and smoothness that you associate with these cars. As you'd expect for £145,000, very, very nice inside. You may find this colour scheme a bit garish, but like all new Bentleys and Rolls-Royces, they're built to order. This one features phone in the armrest, your choice of CD player, and a drinks holder. and everything seems to be touch control in this beautiful walnut finish. Now, just a few weeks ago, Alfa Romeo launched the 156, the latest in a line of cars which has staged a remarkable comeback for the Italian manufacturer. Up to a few years ago, Alfa Romeo was a bit of a lost cause in Britain. Sales had slumped, there was a bad reputation for reliability and the dreaded rust. But since then, new designs, stylish shapes and extremely powerful engines and a huge investment from the parent Fiat company has meant that the car is once again extremely popular and sought after in this country. The latest car, well, been getting a lot of plaudits for its looks. Let's see how it goes on the road. Very Alfa Romeo feel to the new car, the sort of urgent, strident, free revving engine that you expect. Slightly nervous ride. It's a car that if you're going to throw around this handling circuit, you certainly need to know what you're doing. So that's SMMT Test Day 98. Some fascinating new cars on display, and as ever, the chance for the hooligans just to have fun.
Finally tonight, news from Volkswagen, who have announced the insurance ratings for the new Mark IV Golf. The good news for customers is that across the entire range, there are lower ratings than the outgoing Mark III. For example, the base 1.4e in both 3 and 5-door form go from Group 7 to Group 4e, E indicating that the car exceeds necessary security standards, while the top of the range, 1.8 GTI-T, 3 and 5-door, goes from Group 16 to Group 14e. And more good news on insurance rates comes from Ford. They claim the Cougar has been awarded best-in-class insurance ratings. The 2-litre I achieving Group 11E, while the 2.5 V6 24 valves achieves a rating of 14A, and that means it meets all security requirements. With the new Astra from Vauxhall also achieving better insurance ratings than its predecessor across the range, this is incredibly good news for the motorist, reflecting the work done by manufacturers in recent years to improve both safety and security measures. We at Motor Week hope this trend continues. Thank you for watching. Join us next week for a 50th anniversary special about Land Rover.